It's summertime! It's still summertime, right? Last year I did a fun little set of summer-based videos, and a lot of people were upset that I chose to talk about the Goosebumps episode Deep Trouble rather than Ghost Beach. And I promised a bunch of people that I would make that video next year, and so I am keeping that promise with this video. Ghost Beach is the 22nd book in the Goosebumps series, and it is the 9th episode of the 2nd season of the show. It was directed by Steve DeMarco, who also directed the episode Go Eat Worms, and it was written by Jeffrey Cohen, who wrote my favorite episode of the series, Welcome to Camp Nightmare. And just like most of the other episodes I've been talking about recently, you probably recognize the cover of this book. It's one of the best covers in Goosebumps, and actually one of my favorites. It's definitely one of the creepier covers, and it actually caught my eye as a kid because of the spooky ghost on the cover. And it is used a lot in the Goosebumps merch, like this light switch cover. The more I look into Goosebumps merch, the weirder it seems to get. You can also find this cover in multiple Goosebumps video games, like in Escape from Horrorland and the matching minigame, and the Horrorland Wii game as one of the collectible monster cards, and it's also referenced in Goosebumps the game as one of the arcade cabinets in the mall. And on the Goosebumps wiki, you can actually see multiple other potential covers for the book. Most of them are just spooky waves that look kind of like the famous painting Under the Wave off Kanagawa, and I kind of like these covers as well. I wouldn't be upset if they used one of these. This wave with the scary face probably would have also caught my eye as a child. I really like that one. But there is a cover that would have actually had a character on the cover of the book. This one with the ghost pirate in the cave is actually Harrison Sadler. It matches one of the earlier descriptions of him in the book, and it would have been kind of cool to see him on the cover. This episode was also one of 18 that got a book in the Goosebumps Presents set. It's just a set of books that are more like the episode than the original story that Stine wrote, and they usually add a bit more details in these books to have the episode be a little more interesting. But I've definitely yapped enough about the cover of this episode, so let's quit yapping and get into it. We start this episode by meeting our main characters, Jerry and Terry Sadler. They're siblings visiting some distant cousins who live in a really old remote area near a beach. And as you could probably figure, there isn't much to do on this little vacation besides go to the beach and, I don't know, look at rocks or something. Luckily, Terry is interested in wax rubbing the old gravestones in a nearby cemetery, which is about as fun as it sounds. But hey, if she likes it, then it's cool. Obviously, her brother Jerry is super bored just waiting around while she does her wax thing, so he begs his sister to go to the beach with him, but she's obviously really busy and doesn't want to go just yet, which is actually kind of fair. Like, let my girl finish her wax rub and then y'all can go to the beach. But Jerry is just too bored. He begs his sister to come with him, and as he does that, something starts to crawl out of the ground behind them. Strangely, the name on the gravestone is Harrison Sadler, and he died in 1642 and was one of the first people to come to America. He also shares a last name with the siblings, so he might be a distant relative to them. And as they examine the gravestone, the thing behind them decides it's time to attack. The siblings run as far away and as fast as they can until Jerry trips on a tombstone. Then the monster reveals itself to be a little girl? Her and another redheaded kid come out of the bushes laughing their heads off. The kids saw the Sadler siblings hanging out in the graveyard, and they decided it would be hilarious if they just jump scared them. Huh? Mind you, these guys have never met. This is their first impression on the siblings, and I dare say it's not a good one. The Sadler siblings angrily storm off through the cemetery as the other two kids apologize multiple times for their cruel joke. And the mean kids introduce themselves as Sam and Louisa Sadler. So that means that they are Sadlers too. Man, is everyone on this beach named Sadler? Yes. Yes, they are. They tell Sam and Louisa that they are visiting Brad and Agatha.
Our fourth cousin's twice your model.
What? Did he just say remodeled? Is he dumb? I've got to be nice. I've got to be nicer to these characters because people are getting mad because I'm being too mean to kids.
Removed, Jerry. Twice removed.
Thank you, Terry. I was about to crash out. The kids make it back to Terry's wax-rubbing tombstone where they see the name Harrison Sadler on the stone. Louisa tells the siblings that Harrison Sadler might be dead, but he still walks around at night. But they already tried scaring the siblings once, so they don't fall for another prank. AKA, Jerry and Terry don't believe their little ghost story, even though I don't think they're joking. Jerry and Terry kind of grill the two kids for believing in ghosts when Sam tells them,
"If you go near the cave down at the beach, you will too."
That's enough, Sam.
And just as quickly as the two appeared, they disappear back into the woods. Later that night, we finally get to meet the famous Brad and Agatha, and they're old. It's a very odd dynamic because they're not Jerry and Terry's grandparents, but they're their cousins. Just old cousins. As the family sit around a candlelit table and talk while they're eating dinner, the siblings bring up Sam and Louisa, which gets a pretty shocked reaction out of their old cousins. They ask if they're related to them in any way, and Agatha says if they are related, it must be very distant. Then Jerry mistakenly tells them about their cave ghost story, which actually somewhat frightens the other two. So much that they literally get up and walk away from the table. The next day, the siblings are down and having fun on the beach, and as Jerry plays with this stick, Terry searches for some different kinds of seaweed. Jerry wants to try and find this mysterious cave that they've heard about, and he asks Terry if she wants to tag along. But she's too busy fiddling around with seaweed. So Jerry decides to embark on this journey on his own. But he makes it about 5 feet away from his sister when Terry rushes over to check on her brother, and they both see
Perfect skeleton.
Okay, I try to be nice to Goosebumps, but this is just too good, man. I could just picture like somebody behind the scenes going, ah, shoot, we need a skeleton dog for this scene and I forgot to grab one. Wait, let me run to Walmart real quick and let me check out their clearance section. Maybe there's something there. And then they come back with this plastic dog. It's so funny, man. The kids try to decipher what animal it is, and by the kids, I mean Jerry, who thinks it's a raccoon.
Too small for a raccoon.
Whoa, where did they come from? It's almost like they just appear out of nowhere. Sam tells them that it's just a dog skeleton, and I will give Jerry some slack for thinking it's a raccoon because they are a similar size, but in the book, he thought it was a deer. Yeah. Because, you know, deer and dogs have a similar size, build, face, feet, and shape, so I'm starting to think Jerry isn't the brightest kid in the bunch. Sam and Louisa tell the kids that the dog was eaten by a ghost, which you probably can't hear if you watch the episode because the music is so loud. What?
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The music's so loud. Hey, whoever's playing that music, can you turn it down, please? I'm trying to get some exposition here. Sam and Louisa say that dogs can tell when someone is a ghost, and they always bark to warn people about the ghost. So the ghost of Harrison Sadler ate the dog to shut him up and to not warn anyone of his existence. Of course, Terry and Jerry don't believe the two again, but being the little scientist investigator that she is, Terry asks if they've ever even seen this ghost they keep talking about. So Louisa points out the cave to the siblings. She says that the ghost has lived there for over 300 years, and they confess that they've never seen the ghost, but they have seen the dog skeletons on the beach and the flickering lights coming from inside the cave. Jerry still isn't falling for their spooky story until he turns around and sees the flickering light for himself. That night, the family are once again at the dinner table eating some delicious beef stew, and they talk to their cousins about the other Sadler kids and about the strange dog skeleton and the cave. Jerry tells them that he saw a light coming from inside the cave. Brad says that the light could have been Aurora Borealis because it happens at random times throughout the year and it just lights up the sky. Yeah, just one thing, Gramps. This happens at night in the sky. This was in the middle of the day in a cave. Not saying, Jerry even gives his cousin a little pushback about the light, and then Brad just finally yells,
"Just stay clear of Beach's caves, you hear me?"
But he's not worried about some silly ghost story. He doesn't want them to fall and hurt themselves, which is a valid reason to not want them to go to the cave, gotta say. Later that night, Terry has some trouble falling asleep because of a dog that won't stop barking outside. She gets up to close her window in. Good lord, can we talk to the audio guy about the volume levels in this episode? Sounds like some of my old YouTube videos. He's right here, he's beside me, he's watching you. You better put on green, he can see you. My name is King News. Jerry can't sleep either because he just has to know what's inside that cave. So he begs his sister to join him. But it's sleepy time and she could care less about what's in that cave. That is until the barking dog makes a noise like it got hurt. Jerry uses this and a few other examples like their cousins not wanting them to go anywhere near the cave to persuade his sister to go up there. Then we cut to them inside the cave and they almost instantly see the light again.
Look, that's no Aurora Borealis.
Hey, can we get this kid like a book or something, please? A dictionary? I think he needs a dictionary the most. They explore deeper into the cave when they start hearing a strange noise coming from within the cave. After a moment of listening, a whole army of bats swarm the siblings, flying over their heads and out of the cave. And right in the next room, the kids see a lit torch hanging on the wall. And finally, Terry has a good idea.
I don't think we should be here.
I shouldn't.
You think? The ghost of Harrison Sadler tells the kids that they're in incredible danger and that they should have never gotten involved with those kid ghosts. Harrison thinks that the kids are trying to trap him inside the cave, and when Jerry tries to explain himself,
Silence!
He tells the kids that he's not a ghost. He traveled here from England a long time ago. But Terry rebuttals and tells him that she saw his gravestone, so she knows he's a ghost. But he claims that he's named after one of his ancestors and the tombstone is not his. Harrison then tells the story of the Sadler ancestors. They came to America for a better life, but sadly when they got here, they faced the coldest winter imaginable. They had no shelter, no food, and no time to prepare. They were so cold and hungry. It felt like their blood froze in their veins. And one by one, the Sadlers each died. Each death was so awful and painful that some of them refused to move on. Harrison reminds the kids that he isn't a ghost, but he does study the ghosts around the area. And their friends, Sam and Louisa, are ghosts and have been for centuries. Jerry rebuttals and says that he seems more like a ghost because he's locked up in a creepy old cave, but Harrison claims that it isn't a cave, it's a sanctuary. The ghost can't get inside the cave, so he's safe in there, but he cannot leave the cave or they'll harm him. Jerry and Terry defend their new friends and say that they're just normal kids like them. Normal kids, not ghosts. Although kids can definitely be ghosts. I've seen Ju-on, that kid is freaky. But Harrison doesn't have much patience and he has tried to warn the kids already, and since they don't seem to believe him, he's going to let them go.
He's gonna eat us, Jerry.
What? He's literally letting you go. How does that mean he's gonna eat you? Harrison tells the kids to head up to the corner of the graveyard, and there they will find an answer that they need.
To the graveyard. Now!
Damn, okay, pushy. I'm leaving. Golly. The siblings head out of the cave and discuss if they think he's telling the truth or not. But really, there's only one way to find out. They have to go to the graveyard. They make their way into the foggy cemetery and they find two gravestones with the names Louisa and Samuel Sadler. Suddenly, like always, Sam and Louisa appear out of nowhere and startle the siblings. Terry tells Sam and Louisa that they saw Harrison Sadler, which shocks them because they've lived there their whole life and they have never seen him before. The siblings tell them that they had a conversation with him, that he sent them down to the graveyard to find their gravestones. But Sam and Louisa say that Harrison is a clever ghost for trying to make them believe that they're the real ghosts. But then they use the exact same excuse that Harrison used when questioned about their names on the gravestone. They just say they're named after their ancestors. Then Sam changes their attention over to something that has him and Louisa worried about the siblings. He takes them over to another corner of the graveyard and shows them graves with their names and pictures on them, freshly dug for them. Sam and Louisa say that Harrison wants to kill and eat them and bury their bones there. They were trying to warn them before they go into the cave, but since he's already seen them, it's too late. Unless they can somehow get rid of the ghost of Harrison Sadler and stop his evil for good. They say the only way to get rid of Harrison is to trap him inside the cave so he can't get out, which is exactly what Harrison was afraid of when he first caught them inside his cave.
You're trying to trap me, aren't you? Admit it.
So convinced that Harrison Sadler is the real ghost, the four of them head back up to the cave, and they use a giant stick as a lever to try and knock some rocks down in front of the cave. But the rocks are just too heavy for Terry and Jerry, so they ask Sam and Louisa to help them, but they refuse to help because they're scared. So the siblings try their best until they almost get struck by lightning. Then Harrison Sadler himself comes out of the cave. He thanks the siblings for bringing the ghost right to him so he can deal with them himself. He tells Sam and Louisa that they've terrified people for long enough and whistles for his dog. The dog sneaks up behind the ghost Sadler kids and starts barking at them, slowly backing them into the cave. As they get pushed back, they explain that they never got to live a life, that they died the first winter they got here and it's just not fair. And as they back deeper into the cave, their faces start to disappear, revealing nothing but a skull underneath. They beg for the siblings to join them.
Join us! We've done such nice graves for you!
Then lightning strikes the cave entrance once again, and this time knocking over all the rocks, trapping Sam, Louisa, and Harrison inside.
Next time you see me sleeping, don't wake me up.
Bro, you just killed a man. There's no time for quips. Later that night, they join their cousins in front of a fire and tell them what happened to them that night. And I think their cousins believe the story, but they tell the kids that it's over now and it's probably a good idea if they just forget it ever happened. Ha, okay. They're definitely going to be telling the story for the rest of their lives. I wouldn't forget about it. But that's when Harrison's dog starts barking outside. Jerry gets up and opens the door for the pup, and he walks right past the kids and starts barking at Brad and Agatha. Their old cousins stand up and tell the siblings to set the table while they cook them a nice meal.
Don't say you're not hungry.
And that's the end of the episode. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys and say, I'm not the biggest fan of this episode. It's not that I hate the episode and I think it's horrible or anything like that. I just find it a little boring, you know? Even as a kid, when I watched this episode, I thought it was a little lackluster. Sure, spooky things happen here and there, and the ending with the skulls is actually a pretty scary, especially to me as a kid. But I feel like the build-up and the story were just a little too slow for me, and it didn't feel as satisfying at the end. Now, of course, I read the book, and I gotta say, the book is definitely better. I think the story works better as like a campfire tale or like a bedside story. And the mystery and build-up are a little better in the book. You get to learn a little bit more about the characters, which makes it more satisfying. And there are times in the book where you seriously think Jerry and Terry are in some serious danger, but sadly the episode failed to capture that same horror that the book gave us. I know, it's just 2 videos in a row where I'm like, the book is better, but it is. I'm sorry. Especially my last video. No, people did not like my hot take in the last video. But I do think this episode is more enjoyable to watch for the classic Goosebumps campiness it has. I mean, the plastic skeleton dog always makes me laugh. And I love how over-the-top Hardy Lineham plays Harrison in this episode. It's always a lot of fun to see. And this episode has some of the best, worst dialogue.
Terry, slow down!
I don't know what to believe.
Oh man, me neither.
Do you think he's a ghost?
He said Santa Luisa were the ghosts.
But maybe he's lying.
Look, we gotta go to the
I
graveyard.
don't want to.
But besides those things, it's just kind of a meh episode, you know? It's a little forgettable. I mean, even last year, I forgot the episode existed, and I talked about Deep Trouble instead. I do want to point out a few things that had me a little like they definitely killed Harrison, right? Like, he walks into the cave and then the rocks fall, trapping him in the cave. He's dead, and they just murdered somebody, and they should probably tell somebody. Also, the family ate beef stew and pot pie. Both are like beefy elements, and the grandparents are ghosts, so were they eating that dog they found on the beach? It's a little gross. I don't know if anybody else has thought about that. Now, I haven't read the Goosebumps Presents book of this episode yet, but I've seen online that it adds a lot to the story in a lot of positive ways. It even adds a chase scene with Harrison chasing the siblings throughout the cave, which I would have loved to see in the episode. And just like a few other things to get you more attached to the characters, like I believe there's a scene of Terry and Jerry walking up to the cave, and a little more time with Brad and Agatha, which we definitely needed. They showed up for like maybe 2 minutes total. Now, of course, I read the book, and there are a few differences from the book and the episode, and one of them is a whole character is missing. Sam and Louisa have a little brother named Nat that just doesn't exist in the episode. Granted, he doesn't do much in the book, so I see why they made that decision. He also gets a crush on Terry, who is technically his cousin, so that's a little weird, but it's also like, it's a little kid crush, you know. We also get to spend more time with their cousins Brad and Agatha in the book. And actually, Agatha tells the kids the story of the Sadlers coming to America and not Harrison like they did in the episode. The book also has a whole opening sequence that's omitted from the episode. The book starts with like a dream sequence of them getting scared and chased through the cemetery, but they kind of worked that into the episode by making Louisa scare them and chase them for a little bit. But let me know what you think about this episode in the comments below. Do you also think it's a little boring and a meh episode, or is it your favorite episode of Goosebumps? Let me know. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get bonus content plus videos a day early, maybe some pictures of my cats, a Discord server, and your name right here on screen. And YouTube members are lumped in with them as well. Like the video if you like the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all, and peace.